Hi again. So in this video, I'm going to actually demonstrate a few things. We're going to look at some data versus just being on a PowerPoint. So first thing I'd like to do, as I mentioned in the last part or video, I want to go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics to kind of show you how to find the information that you need for comparison, even though it's not a valid comparison. Still got to teach it to you. I want to then share with you some of the data analysis I had conducted while I was in graduate school when I was the Assistant Safety Director for Health and Family Services. And then I'm going to review the data that you're going to be referring to. Actually, you'll be referring to the report, but I'm going to show you the data that went into the development of the report for the Module 2 writing assignment, which is an executive summary. And in the next video, I'll talk more about that. But in this one, I'm going to show you the actual data. And so this is the basic steps I take when I analyze data. First is I review the individual information. So there are 5 spreadsheets, and I just look to see if there's missing information, whether it's organized properly. And I have to make some decisions at that point. Then once I'm happy, I combined it into one single sheet, because then I can do more analyses, and I conduct basic descriptive stats. I do that because it defines everything that's there. And it's something that you'd want to express in the first few lines of an executive summary. Then I do some manual trending, because it's like the entirety of it. I'm sorting it by the criterion, which is year in this case. After that, and every time I do an analysis, I add it to a new tab, because you don't want to, once you have a result, you bring your data to a new tab on Excel. Otherwise, things get messed up. Then what I do is I sort by job title. I do another one, I sort by cause, and I prioritize both using the Pareto, using risk priority numbers and then the Pareto principle to get to these are the ones I would focus on. Then for the job titles that I prioritize, I sort within them. So I eliminate everything except for them, and I look at those causes. So within the prioritized job titles, what's harming them the most. Then what I do is I trend those and forecast future losses. So in the paper I've assigned to you this week, the Manuel paper, leading and lagging indicators, he of course he references a discussion with someone or a presentation he attended, and that an injury is a lagging indicator. What can we get from it? Well, if you take a collection of them and trend them over time and prioritize certain things, if you're looking for certain trends, indicators of what's going on, they become predictors of what could happen. But you have to be really good at analyzing data to understand it. So we forecast losses for the priorities, and then those results become the basis for which we're gonna create recommendations and make them to management. And so that's a big part of this class: data-driven decisions. The data is put in a way, in a presentation in a way to convince management they need to invest or provide resources, things like that. So let's first go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I'm assuming you can see it. I hope you can. I wonder if I need to close this. I think I will. Okay, so now you must be seeing it. So Bureau of Labor Statistics homepage, go to subjects, which is home and then subjects, click on it. And in the middle on the bottom, it's workplace injuries. Click on that. And it brings you directly to the injury and illness and fatality data. There we go. Injury, illness, and fatalities. If you want the latest information, again, 2019 is the most recent. It's all right here. In November or December, they'll publish the 2020 numbers. But here's kind of just a snapshot. And then they'll give you updates here, notices. There's other interesting information. There's information about incidence rates. You should go to this site and become familiar. Now, if we want to look at the Sawyer report, that's the survey of non-fatal injury and illness. What I like to do is go over to the left, where under the browse, and go to national data. And then what I can do is get the CFOI or the SOOI reports. So I click on the non-fatal, and here we go. Everything we need is right here. I usually like to look at it from an Excel perspective, but that can kind of get things messy. So for the sake of this, I'm going to click on the HTML version, and this is the incidence rates by detailed industry level. So it's going to be based on NAICS. So this is table 1. This is what these cutouts were for in the previous video, is I cut out this table. See, it's table 1. It's the incidence rates for non-fatal occupational injury and illness by industry and case type. For 2019. All industries private. So here's the numbers here. And I think we had done this for the 2018. So this was 1.7 before, now it's 1.6. But still, if we do the no last time, it's 1.4 to 1.6. We're still right around 1. And then when you want to compare your company to your industry, you just have to look for it. And this first column here is total recordable cases. That's the total case incidence rate. This one right here for total of cases with days away, job restriction transfer, that is the DART incidence rate. And then these represent incidence rates based on the columns of the 300 logs. So this is H, this is I, and this is J. Make sure you understand that. So TCIR, DART-IR, columns H, I, and J, and here's the industry code. That's how you use Table 1, so the SOI report. And if I was to go back and click on the national data fatal, then I could look up the fatality data here. So that's all I really wanted to show you with that. Let's open up some of the data that I used when I was in graduate school. You can't see it because it's over there. All right, here we go. So this was from, I think, something from 2002 to 2007 maybe? No, not 2000, probably 2005. So I had close to 2,700 inputs into my OSHA log, which before that it was very sporadic. So this was after I instituted my new data collection and analysis methodologies, and I was able to prioritize. So this is my aggregate or my statistics I have here by job title. So it's 2005 2002 2005, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 4 years. This is by occupation. Wait, that was cause. Okay, cause, you can see we've got the asymptotic curve, we got the Pareto ratio. Same with, even more so, with occupation or job title. I focused on the top 2 job titles, and I got the breakdown here. Though it's not over time. That would be the next step. Here was the breakdown just for those job titles. This is for the 3rd, for the 4th, for the 5th. So that's what I did, is I started breaking them down to prioritize where I want to focus, and then I could trend to show what to focus on. But obviously the causes were so distinct. But then I also wanted to see which sources, which sites I should be focusing on. And so on a quarterly basis, I was doing a side-by-side comparison of my 7 sites. I have total recordables, lost time, lost workday. I had all this information by institution, and then I broke it down by the job titles that I was most interested in. But for this, I was trending. As you can see here, this is a side-by-side comparison of all of my facilities just for Q1 of 2007. I believe that was the final, that was right before I left. So I think this might have been my last data set. These are by occupations, and here what I'm doing is just a side-by-side comparison based on what had been collected in the first 3 months of 2007. Same here. But here are some of the trends that I was doing for the facilities. So I've got calendar years 03, and then I've got all the way up to 06, and then I've got 2007. This is what I was using to get support from upper management, and we were then prioritizing which facilities we needed to focus on. And we go there and we talk to people and get information from workers, and then come up with solutions based on what the workers were telling us. Got the same thing for this one. See, we've got a downward trend going on here. This is one of the places where I did my group study, and I think we did it, like we probably did in 2004. Central, if you got to look at the You got to look at the magnitude of it too. I think Central had better numbers, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and I just screwed some things up. So these are some of the things I was doing as a graduate student when I was assistant safety director. Look, there's a big jump with nursing. I assumed that at that point we went out there, we started finding out what's going on with nursing. So there's that. Other things that I was doing. Nope, we're going to go right to the assignment. I see we're at 9 minutes, so yeah, we better wrap this up. So here's the data set that we started out with. So we've got logs from 2008 and the hours from 2008. Logs 2009, hours 2009, all the way up to 2012. And so what a lot of people do is they just look at each year individually, and that's a mistake. You can't trend that, which is why I'll be combining it. But we have to still look through to make sure everything's okay, and then we combine them. And that's what, and I'll provide this to you. So this is the answer key. No? Oh, it's over here. So first I've got the master total. I've got the years here. So I had to add a new column to put in the years. I've got the row range because then I can type in the equations without having going up and manually assigning it. I've got the number of lost time cases, so that will be the count from column J. I've got the lost time, which is a combination of the count from columns H and I. Now, I'm talking about the log columns and not the Excel. You got to be careful. I typed the hours work in, I calculated the total case and the DART incidence rate, and then I looked up. I actually physically went into the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and for my industry that aligns with my organization here, I looked up the total case and the DART incidence rates for a comparison. Then I trended it. So I've got two trends here. The first on top here is the no lost time ratio. Remember, we want it to be 1-to-1. Here what it shows is lost times skyrocketing, no lost times going down. What does that mean? That means that the total case incidence rate is very inaccurate as you go from 2008 to 2012, that things are either getting more dangerous or people are afraid to report. That's one of the findings here. So we really only need to compare the DART rate. The TCIR is just not reliable. Down here, I've got a comparison of my company TCIR, which is not reliable. It goes up slightly. The company DART is skyrocketing, and then this is the industry. So the industry started lower and continues to go down, whereas mine is going up. So the question is, how is the safety program performing? Not well, especially against its peers. I mean, just individually it's not, but against its peer, it's not doing well. So this is the justification for something needs to change. Something definitely needs to change, something's wrong. Now, what do we need to change? And that's what we do when we sort by job title. And so I sort by job title, and then I count the number of cases. Oh, and I should point out, each row is a case. Each column is a data point within the case, or what I would refer to as a variable. We sort by variables, and then we can count cases, or we can add up the number of days lost, or count the number of more severe cases as to get an indication of both frequency and severity. We multiply the two together as percentages, and we get a risk priority number, and that's how I do it. So I have a count, I have a percent frequency. These are the ranges. I've got the number of days away, the number of restricted transfer, and then they're the percentages. And then I multiply that times by RPN, and then I prioritize based on RPN. The higher the number, the higher priority. That's all it does. It just prioritizes based on magnitude. And as you can see, if we were to, let's see, where are my RPNs, where are my total days? Oh, so I've got the top 4 priorities, represent 62% of all the cases. And how much of the percent of the days lost? Percent lost time is 67. If I go to top 5, I get 80%. So I've got my Pareto in a way with top 5. Sort by, I did some incidence rates with job title, but if you have very few entries, it's not very accurate. Here's the top 3 versus the company, and it's not real interesting. I did it by cause as well, same approach. I did create a new cause category because some of the entries were so similar that I wanted to strengthen my analysis. And so I reduced it down to 9 and then resorted by job cause. And this is what I found. That for warehouse overexertion, there would be an estimated 2 cases the following year for 61 days lost. For labor overexertion, 3 cases, 70 days lost. And so you can see this is the estimated, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 priorities here. And so in these 5 priorities, so these are 5 things that I think that needs to be investigated, talk to the workers, come up with better solutions than what we've done in the past, or a different approach. There will be 11 OSHA recordable cases of a severe nature, resulting in about 253 lost days, which we can attach a dollar value to, because if it's a lost day, it's their wage times 8 hours, hourly wage times 8 hours, or their daily wage. So we can attach a dollar value to it, but we know that's also a very small percentage, because that doesn't include any sort of medical care or anything else going on, loss in productivity. This is just purely a simple way to estimate what the loss might be. And that's what you're going to use for your, in the report, it'll present all this. And you can read it, and I hope you understand it now. that I've kind of gone over how I analyze. But it's the estimated losses, the presumed losses based on this analysis that we're going to use to try to generate to management that why don't we put this money into the safety program versus just pay it out later. So if we do things now, for preventative now on the things that we pretty sure that are going to happen. I mean, they may not. They may be worse. We don't know. But based on the data we have, the best we can estimate is that these are going to be the losses. Something different needs to be done. The different thing is going to be take a systems approach. We're going to engage workers. We're going to understand from their perspective. We're going to do root cause analyses to figure out what we really need to do to mitigate the exposures that have been leading to these injuries. And this will reduce the occurrences of injury, reduce recordables, reduce costs. So investing a little now should save us more in the future. And that's what you're going to be doing with the executive summary, is summarizing the data study that is here. Well, it's in the technical report, so it's easier for you. And then using what we've talked about in this class, the principles we've talked about, the theories, and generate a narrative to convince management this is a great idea, this is a great opportunity, a business opportunity to invest in safety, to prevent these things from occurring, but then there are also positives that come along with it, and you can talk about those. So went a little bit long, but hopefully this was insightful, and in the next video we'll talk about the executive summary project.